What if the person you love loved you back, but only because you forced them to? Curry Baker's obsession begins like a romantic fantasy and slowly transforms into one of the most disturbing horror films of recent years. Beneath its supernatural premise lies a story about control, entitlement, consent, and the terrifying difference between love and possession. Today, we are diving deep into Obsession, its hidden themes, performances, camera work, and why this former YouTuber may have created one of the most unsettling horror films of the year. On the surface, Obsession follows Bear, a shy young man who wishes for Nikki to love him. It sounds like the setup for a romantic comedy. But Curry Barker quickly reveals that the film isn't about finding love, it's about the desire to control love. The moment Bear uses the supernatural wish, he removes Nikki's ability to choose. That's the film's central horror. Nikki's feelings are no longer her own. Her agency is stolen. Many critics have interpreted the film as a commentary on romantic entitlement, the belief that affection can somehow be earned, deserved, or possessed. The film repeatedly asks a simple question: if someone only loves you because you force them to, is that love at all? What makes this theme so effective is that Bear isn't presented as a traditional villain. He is lonely, awkward, sympathetic, and that's exactly why the film is uncomfortable. Because the monster isn't hatred, the monster is obsession disguised as love. One of the most fascinating aspects of obsession is how it turns a supernatural curse into a metaphor for consent. Nikki becomes trapped inside a version of herself that exists solely to satisfy someone else's desires. Several reviewers have noted that the film's real horror comes from the loss of free will rather than the gore or supernatural elements. In many ways, Nikki becomes a prisoner within her own body. That idea transforms obsession from a simple monkey's paw story into something much darker. The film isn't saying that the bear is evil. It's saying that good intentions can become destructive when they ignore another person's autonomy. Love requires choice. The moment choice disappears, love becomes possession. And possession is exactly what this film is about. One of Curry Barker's greatest strengths as a filmmaker is his visual storytelling. Throughout the film, the camera often invades personal space. Characters are framed uncomfortably close. Faces occupy too much of the screen. The camera frequently lingers longer than expected. These choices create a feeling of suffocation. As Nikki loses control over her life, the audience begins to lose a sense of comfort as well. The film constantly places us in positions where we feel trapped alongside the characters. There are also moments where Barker uses stillness instead of movement. Many modern horror films rely on rapid editing and constant motion. Obsession often does the opposite. The camera simply watches. And somehow that's even more disturbing. By refusing to cut away, Barker forces the audience to sit with discomfort. Several reviews specifically praise the confidence and effectiveness of the film's visual set pieces and patient pacing. If there's one reason Obsession succeeds, it's in the naivety. Her performance is incredibly difficult because she's essentially playing multiple versions of the same person. At times, she feels vulnerable. At times, she feels terrifying. And often, she manages to be both simultaneously. What makes her performance so unsettling isn't what she says, it's how she moves. The expressions, the posture, the way she holds eye contact just a little too long. Even when standing perfectly still, she creates tension. Many critics and viewers have singled her out as the film's standout performance, praising her ability to balance victimhood and menace at the same time. Michael Johnston deserves credit as well. Bear could have easily become a caricature. Instead, Johnston plays him with enough vulnerability that we understand him even when we disagree with his actions. The result is a horror film where the audience feels sympathy and disgust simultaneously. That's not easy to pull off. Perhaps the most interesting thing about Obsession is who made it. Curry Barker didn't come from traditional film school. He came from YouTube. And you can feel that influence throughout the movie. Not in a negative way. In fact, the film demonstrates how a new generation of filmmakers is emerging from online platforms rather than conventional Hollywood systems. Barker's rise from viral shots and YouTube's filmmaking to a theatrical horror feature has become one of the most discussed success stories in modern genre cinema. What's impressive is that Barker avoids the fast cut editing styles often associated with internet content. Instead, he embraces slow tension, patience, atmosphere. He understands that horror isn't about what's happening, it's about what might happen next. And that's a skill many experienced filmmakers still struggle to master. Without diving too deeply into spoilers, the ending works because it refuses to offer easy comfort. Most horror films end with the monster defeated. Obsession understands that the real damage was done long before the supernatural elements arrived. The curse may end, the trauma doesn't. That lingering emotional devastation is what makes the film memorable. The story isn't about a magical object, it's about consequences. And consequences don't disappear when the credits roll. Obsession is far more than a horror movie about a cursed wish. It's a film about entitlement, control, consent, and dangerous belief that love can be owned. Curry Barker takes a familiar supernatural premise and transforms it into a disturbing examination of modern relationships. Combined with confident direction, uncomfortable camera work, and a career defining performance from Ende Neverati. The result is a horror film that stays with you long after it ends. The scariest thing on Obsession isn't the curse, it's the idea that someone can mistake possession for love. And maybe that's why the film feels so unsettling because its monster doesn't come from the supernatural, it comes from something painfully human. If you enjoyed this analysis and our thoughts about Obsession, we also have made a video about how YouTubers are shaping the new age cinema. You should check that out as well. But for now, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like this video. Till then, may the cinema be with you.